Hello, and welcome to the webinar. I noticed that I'm actually a little bit early, but it's good to see that there's already some people here. I'm very excited to be here. And I hope that you can also hear me properly. If not, please let me know. And I hope that you found a cozy spot in your home or wherever you are to listen to the webinar. And if you feel like you still want to make any adjustments, go grab a cup of tea or grab a blanket, then this is the time to do so. It's nice to see that there's people from the Netherlands, Italy, Ireland. Good to see you, or to know that you're here. So, this webinar will be about Ayurveda for winter. As here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are in winter. I was just outside actually in the park, and it's really, really freezing. My laptop says it's -8 degrees Celsius right now. It's cold outside. And according to Ayurveda, that means that there is some self-care tips that we can apply to stay warm, to stay cozy, and to really smoothly go through this season. And not only because the temperatures ask more of us, but also because this time of the year can be very stressful for a lot of people and for a number of reasons. Not only because it's darker and colder, but also because for a lot of people it's the time of the year where deadlines need to be met, work things still need to be like rounded off in a way. And also, if you do celebrate holidays, then that can add some extra stress on top of all of that. So, some Ayurvedic tips and tricks to stay calm, to stay centered, and to easily, smoothly move through this season. And actually, to start this webinar and to basically already give you a sense of what one of the tools is, I would really want to just start with that and guide you through an exercise. And it is a meditation in a way, but we'll do it with the eyes open, because doing it with the eyes open helps you to center. It helps your nervous system to calm down. It helps you to realize that you are here now, this moment, this place, instead of wherever your head is pulling you towards. So in order to do that, just make sure that you have a place where you feel safe enough. Make sure that you're not, driving a car, or I wouldn't also do this when you're walking outside for now. In that case, you can still listen, but just skip the actual doing. So in order to do it, just make sure to have a comfortable seated position, preferably. And like I said, it's with the eyes open. So with your eyes open, just start to look around in all directions and really take your time for that. So slowly, slowly looking around, also above, and to the right, to the left, but also really behind you. And as much as you can, also below you. And just looking in all directions. Like I said, it helps to center, it helps to ground, and it helps to arrive in the here and now. So take your time for that. Really looking around. You can even say to yourself, either repeat it inside or say it out loud if that feels okay for you. You can say to yourself, I am here now, this place, this time. And then notice what that does to your body. And maybe you already noticed that your body starts to settle in a little bit more. I can definitely feel that in my body, that when I look around and tell myself I'm here now, this moment, this place, I can feel that my body starts to lean back a bit more, to relax a bit more, even expand a bit. And when that happens, I can also notice that my breath automatically slows down and goes a little bit lower towards the belly. And for me, I then also notice that my mind gets a little bit slower, a little bit more spacious as well. And not in a floaty way, but more in a calm and relaxed kind of way. And maybe you notice that too. And maybe you don't, and that is perfectly okay too. Sometimes we need to practice this more often in order for the nervous system to basically pick up on it, and for the body to respond and the breath to respond. And that's okay. So you can, in your own time, finish this exercise and basically come back to the here and now again to listen to the rest of the webinar. And this is just really a super short introduction, and you can do that for a longer period of time. You can do the looking around even for 5 minutes. But maybe you already noticed that just with this short amount of time, something shifted. And this is one of the most easy ways to feel more grounded and feel more centered when you have this feeling that life is pulling you in all kinds of directions. So whenever you notice that there's stress, that you experience stress, see if you can remind yourself of this exercise and come back to it and practice it as often as you want. So yes, that's just one tool. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the winter, according to Ayurveda, is definitely a season to pay attention to. It is the season where Vata is most high. It's at its peak, actually. And Vata is the dosha, or the constitution type, that is made out of air and wind. And when something is made out of air and wind, that those two combined are super spacious. So that means that when there's a lot of Vata, you sometimes also feel a bit too spacious, like floaty. Sometimes you notice that that means that the mind is also has so much space that it just goes on and on and on and on, and that it's hard to stop that, not only during the day but also during the night. And that can lead to sleepless nights for sure. And you might also just feel restless and like tired but wired during the day. Another thing that comes with Vata, so air and wind combined, is dryness. And the dryness is not only something that you experience on your skin, for example. You might notice that your skin is very dry. You might notice that your hair gets very dry. But also inside of the body, there's a dryness, which can lead to something like constipation, for example, but also more aches in the joints. And whenever this happens, so whenever there's this dryness in the body, it's important to do the opposite of that. So to add more moisture and to add more oil, actually, as well. And one of the ways to do that is to massage yourself on a, I would say, definitely once per week, a good full body massage with preferably warm sesame oil is a perfect thing to do. And aside from the once a week, a full body massage with sesame oil, you could do a partial body massage, I would say, on a daily basis. It's what I also do, definitely in winter on a daily basis. In the morning after I take a shower, I do massage my body as well. And adding more oil to your diet is important too, so that you are also basically lubricated from the inside as well. So adding more sesame oil, olive oil, ghee, which is clarified butter, to your diet, that is definitely something that is very helpful in this time of the year, according to Ayurveda. Adding more warming spices is very helpful as well. Eating more root vegetables, so everything that is close to the ground, because that energy also helps you to ground. It helps you to basically get closer to the ground. So if you feel very floaty, if you feel like your energy is basically moving in all directions, it helps to pull yourself basically more to the ground by eating root vegetables, but also by massaging the soles of your feet, for example, or doing more grounding yoga poses. Hip openers are really wonderful in this time of the year if you do have a yoga practice. Wearing lots and lots of layers of clothing is very important in this time of the year. So stay warm, stay cozy. Soft fabrics, really wonderful. I'm actually wearing 4 layers now. I'm wearing like 2 short sleeves and 2 long sleeves. And for me, that is really helpful. Also because I can easily remove a layer if I feel like it's getting a little bit too warm. But I also notice that it helps me to feel well in my body. I'm also actually sitting here with also a blanket and a hot water bottle, which is also very helpful, and I can highly recommend using those as well. So one of the reasons why Vata is higher in this season is not only because this tends to be a very busy season, this end of the year part, and then also the startup of the upcoming year is usually also quite busy. But it's also a season where we spend some more time indoors. And if we are indoors and the heating is on, that dries our outside environment. And whenever the outside environment is drier, that also causes more dryness inside. So that's the reason why Vata goes up in winter, or one of the reasons actually. And like I already mentioned, whenever something goes up in Ayurveda, you basically do the exact opposite to bring it back down. So whenever air and ether, so space, are high in winter, you do the opposite thing to bring it down. So you bring more focus on these root vegetables, for example. You bring more focus on self-massage, sesame oil, using more oil, massaging the feet, grounding yoga practice, looking around. A practice like that is really wonderful. And also very, very important in this time of the year, and also whenever you notice that Vata is high, so not only in this season, is to be very, very mindful and clear about your capacity and your boundaries. And so your capacity changes throughout your life, throughout the day. On some days, you might have quite a lot of capacity, a lot of energy to do things, a lot of bandwidth to deal with whatever life throws at you. And other days, you might not have so much. So a good practice is to, in the morning, whenever you wake up, to pause, to slow down, and to check in with yourself how much capacity you have. So, how much energy do you have when you wake up? And I actually really like the spoon theory. Maybe you've heard of it, which is a theory that says that you basically wake up with a certain amount of spoons, a spoonful of energy each day. And those amounts of spoons, they fluctuate. And if you know that you wake up and you have 11 spoons of energy, then you can be more conscious and more mindful about how you spend that energy. Because you will already have to spend some of that energy on just getting ready for the day, getting up, taking a shower, preparing breakfast, and then going through the rest of the day. And all of these activities that we do during the day, they basically consume some of that energy, some of those spoons. So knowing how much spoons you have, or how much capacity or energy, or how you want to call it, is very, very helpful, because it will make you more aware of where you want to spend it, how you want to spend it. And that in turn will help you to set clear boundaries. Because maybe you don't want to spend those spoons you have, that capacity that you have, on, I don't know, the office Christmas party, but instead you would feel way more nourished to meet up with just a small group of friends and prepare dinner together. And I'm just naming one example, but of course there's a lot of options there, a lot of possibilities. And yeah, that is something to definitely keep in mind, and to check in with yourself. What gives you the most energy? What it feels the most nourishing for you in this time of the year right now? And how can you not only stay within your capacity, so keep your boundaries with others, but also with yourself? So it's also very important to notice how you are treating yourself. So how are you talking to yourself? Because we all have that thing where we can be like super harsh or judgmental towards ourselves. And also, there to set boundaries helps us to maintain our energy, and therefore also to more smoothly move through the season. So yeah, I'm just gonna quickly check if everything is still working. I think it looks like it. I hope you can actually still hear me, because I don't see the microphone thingy move. But yeah, so these are just a few tips already to move through this season in a more centered and calm way. And there's, thanks for letting me know. There's much more that I can tell you about Ayurveda, and I also really realized that we only have a very limited amount of time, and that I would also still want to hear from you if you have any questions. So I unfortunately cannot dive really deep into all aspects of Ayurveda, all about the doshas, all about the different elements and how they like interact with each other, and how they are influenced by the seasons, but also by our age. I mean, also our age plays a really big role. Whenever you're 40 years or up, like I am, then also Vata increases in our system, which means you then even more need to pay attention to managing your Vata. Throughout the entire year, that is then, not only in winter. So yes, that being said, I do have a few Ayurveda courses on the Eckhart Yoga Academy. And I did just hear that the Eckhart Yoga Academy is offering a 20% discount on all of my courses for you lovely people who are here right now. And you will get all the details in your email. So, yeah, that being said, I would love to hear from you if there is any questions that you have, anything that you would want to learn, anything that you would want to know, because I would also love to go into that, have some time for that. So if you do have any questions, then please just type them into the chat box thingy, which I'm pointing towards, but I'm not even sure if it's actually for you also on the right-hand side. Maybe it is. And if so, then you can type it in over there and just let me know if there's anything that you would want to learn, that you would want to know. And yeah, so while I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to share a little bit more about Ayurveda for this season. So aside from the looking around, which is such a big one, the being mindful of how much capacity you have and how you want to spend that, the setting boundaries, clear boundaries to others, to yourself, the oil massage, massaging your feet definitely, using a bit more oil in your diet. I see a question pop up. Thank you. Also, the root vegetables, staying warm, layers of clothing, the hot water bottle, blankets, soft lights, by the way, are also very important. Soft, slightly boring music is also very good to calm Vata. Nothing that is too exciting or that really brings your energy up. I would try to leave the horror, like the really exciting, scary movies aside for now, especially if you do struggle with Vata. So yeah, I'm going to come to the questions. I saw that there was a question about what types of yoga are good for the winter season, and that's a good question. So it is really important to keep moving during the winter. You don't want to create like a stagnation in the body, especially in winter, because aside from this dry quality, especially towards the end of winter, we can start to feel really heavy and tired, and then it's also really important to keep moving. So I would say definitely like a fluid, soft movement is very good for winter. So any type of soft flow, slow flow, anything that is also closer to the earth, that helps you to ground. Hip openers are fantastic. I think my favorite for this season is Gomukshasana, where you wrap your legs basically around each other and on top of each other, and it looks a little bit like a pretzel, which is a fantastic pose for this winter. Any warrior pose, which also creates a bit more heat, is also a good one, up until the point where you start to sweat. So if you notice that you start to sweat, I would say back off a little bit, because excessive sweating also creates more dryness in the body. And if you have, especially if you already do have Vata issues, so if you do suffer already from constipation, from insomnia, from, I don't know, this cracking and popping of the joints, for example, or dry, itchy eyes or itchy skin, any type of those Anxiety, by the way, also is a big one. So if you already struggle, or if you already have Vata issues, then I would say stay away from excessive sweating and just keep it soft, mellow. So that's a really important one, as when it comes to types of yoga that are good for the winter season. I hope that's helpful, and that's an answer to your question. Next question was, if I use ashwagandha and if I can recommend this, especially for menopause. And that is a really good question. And unfortunately, I cannot say if it would be good for you, Claudia, because I in order for that, for me to be able to say something about that, I would really need to have a private session with you, and I would need to know way more about you. I would need to know what types of menopausal issues you have. Like, is it more the hot flashes, or is it the nightmares? Is it anxiety, or is it sleepless nights? What's going on? Or is it something completely different? When did it start? At which age? How does your life look? Like, what type of job do you have? Where do you live? Because, like, where we live, if it's in a city or in a village, all of that has an influence. And for me, in order for me to say whether or not ashwagandha is the right thing for you, I unfortunately cannot through this medium. I do offer one-on-one sessions, and you can find all the information on that about that on my website, which is irinaverwer.com, which is my name, plus.com. If you cannot find the information you're looking for there, then just send me an email through my website. So that's that. That's about the ashwagandha for now. And then I noticed that there were two more questions popping up. One of them is, I noticed that in the winter, I am more inclined to be on my own and reflect. Is this a more general feeling, which can also be explained by Ayurvedic theory? And then the second part is, and is it advised to give into this, or is it more important perhaps to seek more contact and be outgoing? Thank you for asking that. And it is, it's a bit of both, actually. So we all have a natural tendency. The end, at the same time, on top of that, the seasons do have an influence as well, on all of us. So yes, it can also be explained by Ayurvedic theory. So if Vata is high, and Vata is boundaryless, it goes in all directions, and it's constantly active, and it's constantly, I don't know, almost like bubbling over, which is, by the way, also a really strong point of Vata. And it's also a beautiful thing, because it makes us very creative, and it makes us see solutions where we didn't even think about where we could find that. So yeah, there's also really beautiful aspects to Vata, definitely, as with all of the doshas. And sometimes it can be a bit much, and then it's like it goes too far, and there's no boundaries, and we basically sometimes then feel a bit lost in it. And so that the natural tendency to bring Vata back is to make it smaller, to give it a structure. So structure is super important for Vata. So having basically the same setup for your day, roughly, every day. So getting up around the same time, having the same morning routine, roughly the same time breakfast, same time lunch, same time dinner. Basically, like having a really steady, predictable routine is super important for Vata. It helps you to really ground and to contain yourself. So this containing yourself, that is also what is happening when you feel like you are more inclined to be on your own and to reflect. Then you basically already very naturally, apparently, and for some people that's harder, and for some people it's really easy to listen to that. But you already listen to what Vata actually needs, because if there's too much Vata, what it really needs is to have containment, to have these boundaries, to have a structure, to indeed be a bit more inward drawn. And reflecting is amazing also in this time of the year, definitely. And then the second part, if it's advice to give into this, and I would say yes to a large degree, that is definitely advised to do, to basically, I'm trying to find the right words. It's almost as if you make your world a little bit smaller and a little bit more. I'm struggling to find the right translation in English right now. So in Dutch, it is overzichtelijk, which is like you have a clear view over your world. You know what's going on, and you can basically see everything that's there. So yeah, it's really about like containment, making your world a little bit smaller. That is not to say to have no interactions with the outside world whatsoever, because especially also in this season, it is important to also still connect with loved ones. And at the same time, and then we're coming back to what I said earlier about capacity and boundaries, it is super important to be very mindful about who you interact with, who is really nourishing you right now, who is basically giving you energy, who do you feel you can really just be with together without having to do a whole lot, but just being together. And where you don't have the feeling that you have to or should. So those are the types of interactions that are nourishing and that are also really, really important for Vata, because Vata also needs the warmth of other people, basically. And yeah, and it's then also just as important to know where your energy just basically goes away. So what are the interactions, and that's really without judgment also, like what are the interactions where you notice that it costs you energy, and you feel basically depleted afterwards. And that can be anything. That can be social interactions, but also, I don't know, for me it can definitely also be grocery shopping. So and of course I also need to eat, so I also need groceries. But then it also is again about like, how do you plan that in your day? When do you do that? How can you best take care of your capacity and your boundaries? I hope that was an answer to your question. I know it's quite a long answer, actually. So then there was another question. If I have Ayurvedic postpartum tips. And yes, I do. And I also see that Eckhart Academy already answered, which is amazing. I do indeed have an entire course on Ayurveda for pregnancy, which is also about postnatal care. And yeah, just one of the really, really big ones for if you have just given birth is to not only stay warm and stay cozy, because also Vata goes definitely up after you gave birth. but also to wrap, like I would say, a scarf around your belly to also create like a soft container for yourself. So that would be my number one tip for right now. All right, so let's see, is there anything else that I'm just searching in my mind if there's anything else that I maybe forgot to mention. I did tell you about the foods to eat. Maybe it's helpful to know that the tastes in general to focus on are more like sweet and salty. A little bit of sour as well. But I would stay away from everything that is like super hot or pungent or bitter. Um, like I said, Vata is air and ether combined, so it's very spacious, and it needs not only oil but also liquid. So any foods that are more on the liquid side of the spectrum, so porridge, soup, stew, curries, all of that is really fantastic for this time of the year. I would definitely focus a bit more on that. All right. I'm still searching in all the drawers in my brain if there's like one really big one that I might have forgotten, but um, I think we talked about all the main ones for now. And yeah, if you do still have any questions, just feel free to type them into the chat box, and yeah, and I will still answer those. Um, and for now, while you maybe still type something in if you have a question, for now, I would want to basically already basically send you off with just a small exercise again to help you ground, to help you settle, and that you can also do wherever you are. I would also again say that it's good that when you find a place where you feel safe enough and where you're also not moving around. Um, so yeah, if you're driving in a car, then I would say skip this one for now. So yes, to end this webinar with, I would want to invite you to find again a very comfortable seated position. Or if it feels really, really delicious to you, you can also just lay down. Go for it. So find a comfortable position. And we're going to start basically the way we started also with the webinar. So we're again going to look around. And then from there, we're going to draw a bit more insight. So for now, just take your time to look around in your room or wherever you are. And again, take a moment to remind yourself that you are here now. This moment, this place. And again, looking in all directions, so also behind you and below you. And whenever you feel ready, you can come back to the center and just close your eyes. And take this moment to really feel your body. And no matter what is going on in the body, see if you can allow, especially the lower body, to become heavier. So see if you can relax your feet, your legs, your hips, your groins, relax your buttocks, relax the lower back and the lower belly, so below the belly button. Let it become soft. And notice that when the lower half of your body relaxes, you will automatically feel a little bit more steady, a bit more stable, and maybe even a little bit more calm. If you're sitting upright, and notice that there's still length in the spine, chest is lifted. And soften the muscles of your face, especially the jaw. Relax your eyes. Notice the effect this has on your breath. Maybe you'll notice it becomes a bit slower, goes more towards the belly, the lower back. And then in turn, that can have an effect on the mind and on your emotions. So just check in with those as well. And no matter what you encounter, it is perfectly okay and it's very welcome. See if you can give it space and allow it to be there, just the way it is. Bringing your awareness back to the body, and more specifically the lower half of your body. Feeling your buttocks, legs, feet. And then you can bring your palms together and rub them together swiftly to create some warmth. And then bring the warmth towards your face. Maybe a few times stroking your face. And then stretching in any way that feels really, really good to you right now. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. All right. So, thank you so much for joining me today, for being here. I'm very excited that you're all here. And I wish you a wonderful winter. And I hope to see you somewhere else, maybe in one of my courses. And for now, wishing you a really sweet evening, if it's evening for you. It is for me. All right. Thank you.